Hello, everybody. My name is Dani with Realistic Intentionality, and welcome to another episode of the podcast. Today, I have a very special dude. He is a new friend. He has so much insight and wisdom on reframing your mindset around success and failure, and he may or may not be the most decisive man. So, everyone, please welcome Gavin.
Thanks, Dani.
Yes.
Happy to be here.
Thank you so much, Gavin. So, I feel like I know so much, but still not enough about you. But why don't you tell everyone about yourself?
Sure. So I'm 50 years old, turned 50 in September. Happily married to my wife, Amanda. Have two kids, a daughter who's 14 and a son who's 12. Two rescue dogs, and I like to have as much fun as possible.
I love that. You just went to a surf camp, right, in Costa Rica?
I did. That was a good learning experience. I learned that I have really, really tight hips and need to do a lot more stretching and yoga.
No.
It was a family surf camp. My kids have surfed for a couple years. We go to North Carolina 1 week every summer, and the kids always surf and have surf lessons. And my wife said, we should go to Costa Rica. It looks great, and let's make it an exciting, action-packed adventure and go to family surf camp. I was like, sure. Like, I'd love to learn how to surf. It looks fun. And I thought I'd be an expert. I talked to friends who've surfed their whole life. I've skied my whole life and skateboarded and done those sorts of things. And I learned really fast that I have very, very tight hips and need to do a lot more stretching. And 1 week of stretching and yoga at surf camp was not enough.
Like, you couldn't even, you were having a hard time even, chilling on the board?
I could not even sit comfortably on the board because I needed a big board. So I had to lie on my stomach quite a bit. They tried to get me to get on my stomach, to up on one knee, and then roll my hip down to stand up. I was like, that hip does not move.
Yeah.
So I could paddle out, and I could ride the board back on my stomach or on one knee. And it took the entire week until there were coaches. They finally said, you look pretty athletic. Do two things. Like, jump up, push up off the board as athletically as possible.
As athletically as possible.
And don't look down. Don't look at your board. Don't look down at the water. You have to look at the palm trees on the beach. And I did it.
Wow.
I struggled because I was like, it's our last day.
Right.
My kids are surfing everywhere. My wife was an expert. We joked that my daughter would push up on the board and then do her hair. She was so comfortable for pictures and whatnot. And here I am, can't get up, fall. And so I was so mad on the last day. I went in, took a break, and said, just remember, athletic pop, look at the palm trees.
Yeah.
And lo and behold, they were happy to see me go back out and try. I did it, and everyone cheered, and I got my surfing picture moment, and then tried it again and did it. And I was like, I'm good. I got up twice. On the last day, I'm tired, and I can say I surfed.
Do you think you'll go surfing again?
Yes.
All right.
I do. I'd like to surf. It was super fun. And I will do a year of stretching.
Okay.
Whenever we decide to go surfing again, I will go get my hips stretched and do yoga every day and hip opener, whatever's needed.
Yeah.
I do not have.
Yeah, I mean, there's some gentlemen that try to do the split challenge, where they try to learn how to do a full split.
Wow.
Like a cheerleader split, and it's a lot of times it's these muscular dudes that are into bodybuilding because then they want the flexibility, they want the mobility, and so you just see these really chunky, burly dudes just trying to do a cheerleader split, but that would probably help.
It would, and I have genetic challenges because when I was born, we have no measurement for how long I was because my legs wouldn't straighten. And the doctors didn't want to pull them. I was sort of born with bent legs and tight hamstrings. It helped me run really fast, but does not help me be flexible.
Interesting. Now, you just kind of your legs, as you grew, they just straightened out, or?
They did, but I was still always had flexibility challenges.
Gotcha. But now you said you skateboarded, and you also were on a junior Olympic team, I believe?
I was a competitive freestyle skier.
Wow.
So when I was a kid, we always took ski vacations. My parents loved to ski. When I was 8 years old, we went up to Waterville Valley, New Hampshire, to go skiing. And my parents always got me lessons so I could continue to get better every time we went. Well, Waterville Valley had a freestyle skiing club, the Waterville Valley Black and Blue Trail Smashers.
Okay.
And they had a desk right next to the ski school where you could take jumping lessons.
Okay, I'm unfamiliar.
This is like 1982.
Okay.
So you could sign up to learn how to turn and ski, or you could sign up and go off jumps on your skis.
Oh,
And they taught you how to jump and do tricks back in 1982.
On skis?
On skis.
Wow.
So I was with friends. We took jumping lessons, had a blast. We were like, we have to come back the next year. Went back the next year. Learned that they had a skiing academy, Waterville Valley Academy.
Uh-huh.
So we learned about that. I jumped again, left. I'm 9. I told my parents, I said, I want to go to Waterville Valley Academy when I'm in high school. And they said, okay, if you continue to love skiing and you get straight A's, we'll let you apply. When you're 14.
Okay.
It's like your freshman year in high school, you could tell us and you could apply and maybe go your sophomore. I was 9.
Mm-hmm.
So I did not say another word until freshman year of high school.
Did you do it?
Sitting at the dinner table, I said, remember the conversation we had when I was 9? And I'm an only child.
Mm-hmm.
I want to go to Waterville Valley Academy. My parents said, we don't remember that conversation, but you're not one that lies, so let's look into it.
That'd be a wild lie.
Yeah, so they said, let's look into it. So we looked into it. I applied. I had good grades. I went and did a ski tryout and was accepted into Waterville Valley Academy. And my sophomore and junior years of high school, I went to Waterville, skied 100+ days a year, was trained in freestyle skiing, so going off jumps and doing tricks, skiing through moguls, doing ski ballet, which has gone away, but they're trying to bring it back.
That sounds fun.
Just like dancing and tricks on the snow.
Yeah.
So I did all that and excelled at aerials and made the U.S. Junior Olympic development team.
You know what? I'm going to say it. That sounded pretty decisive. At 9 years old, you made one decision from something that looked fun and then took it to a junior Olympic level. So
I loved skiing.
Yeah.
I absolutely loved skiing. And I was really blessed with my upbringing. Parents are my best friends, house filled with love, and most people don't think I'm an only child. You usually can stereotype only child, especially growing up. I actually was annoyed at my parents that no one knew I was an only child, because that means you're spoiled usually.
Right.
So my parents, they never said no, but they didn't give me anything.
Right.
So
That's
I bought my own bike when I was like 8. I bought my own Nintendo. They would not buy me a Nintendo. They would not buy me games. They said I could get one game a year. Otherwise, I had to go barter and trade. So we would always sit down and say, like, Waterville Valley Academy, I want to go. Okay. Continue to love skiing, get good grades, and we can have the conversation. You want a Nintendo? No. Go spend your own money. So, I mean, I was raking leaves for the neighbors at 8 years old and doing chores, trying to just hustle and figure out how to make money so I could buy whatever I want. Yeah, buy my Nintendo. So they never said no. They always said, like, let's talk through this.
Yes.
Why do you want this? What do you think you need to do to get this? So it was always a conversation. They always just encouraged me to pursue what I was interested in, but didn't give me anything.
Right. Well, I actually was reading about how some of the most well-adjusted, children come from homes that are the combination of firm but loving. So showing that love, showing that affection, but being firm in which, like, all right, you need to earn these things, you need to work, you need to figure out your own solutions. And so even when raising my own kids, I'm like, okay, firm and loving, firm and loving. Like, as parents, you have your good days and your bad days, but as long as I feel like I'm being firm enough and I know I'm loving, I'm good. I'm happy. I'll take that, Okay. So, you've always had a certain drive to you. Now, I know that you are really passionate about talking about reframing your mindset, and how you have talked about how through this endurance challenge that you've recently done, that you had to completely reframe what failure was to you.
Failure is learning in disguise.
Love that.
And I keep going back to childhood. When you're an infant and you're learning to walk, you take a step, you fall down, you get back up, you take 2 steps, fall down, you get back up. You know that walking is the right thing to be trying, so you keep doing it.
Right.
You get on a bike, you fall down, you get back up. So as a kid, you were always trying, learning, figuring things out. No one could ride that bike for you. No one could walk for you. So I'm continuously now going back to childhood, where you always kept trying.
Right.
And then even from a learning perspective, let's say you go to the playground. Like maybe you're an infant, maybe your parents help you get on the swing and they help you get on the slide. But then when you're 4, your parents are sitting on a bench somewhere, watching you, talking to the other parents, and you choose to go down the slide because that's what you want to do. You might go down the slide 100 times and not get on the swing or get on the monkey bars or crawl through the tunnel. Like it's up to you to figure out what you want to do that day and keep doing. And I don't know why. I'm going to keep thinking about this because I've thought about it a lot lately. But as you get older, you quit things more.
Yep.
You stop learning. You're influenced by others. So I went and had a conversation with my parents just 3 months ago. And I said, can you tell a story from my childhood that best explains who I am today?
I love that.
Just like that, my mom told me that my parents raised me in a choose your own adventure manner forever, for life. They didn't stop at like 2. So I grew up outside New York City. So let's say we go to the Bronx Zoo. There was no agenda. There was no schedule. We didn't, here's what we're doing today, Gavin. We're going to see giraffes at 10 and the reptile house at 10:30, and then we need to eat lunch at 11:15 because we want to miss. They walked me to the entrance.
Yep.
And did not influence anything else that day. So if I wanted to go to the reptile house and like look for the hidden snakes or frogs in the display and read about where they're from and what they ate all day, they let me do that all day. So they never tried to influence what I wanted to learn about. They might have, like my dad really wanted me to go to astronaut camp at NASA. He was a pilot and he's like,
okay,
it would be so cool if you went. I'm like, Dad, I don't want to be a pilot. And I like space is cool, but I'm not interested in that.
Yeah.
He would like bring it up, but it wasn't a pressure thing. It was kind of funny. Like I didn't know that my parents had a philosophy in how they raised me and let me choose my own adventure anytime we went in public.
Wow.
For my whole life. So I was like, that is probably the reason I'm so decisive, because for 18 years when I lived under their roof and we went out somewhere, they let me go learn and explore and experiment with what I wanted to do. So I had a much longer time probably than most people on this earth, especially the way parents parent today.
Right.
I love it. Like choose your own adventure.
Yeah.
And go figure it out.
And figure out your own decision-making process, the things you're interested in. I mean, I'm sure your parents watched you do a bunch of things where they're like, what is Gavin doing?
He's a knucklehead. Right.
Yeah. But they let you do it. And it's like so many of us growing up, we are very pressured. We are following an agenda. We are following a routine. And then when we turn 18, all of a sudden it's like, what are we doing? We picked something we want to go to college for, or some job we're about to pursue. And like even that was like a big decision for a teenager just to make when they're not making their own decisions their entire life. And you're now faced with like, what kind of food am I going to cook for myself? What kind of relationships do I want to have? What kind of hobbies do I want? And it definitely, like, I can see where there is such a crisis in people not being able to make decisions for themselves, and then constantly going through the cycles of, like, perceiving their own failures, perceiving their own, like, issues, and, like, because they're trying all these things, flailing around without much direction or drive or, purpose. And then they're like, they try things, they're not totally motivated, so they quit. And then they're just like, man, like, now I feel like crap. Like, I just quit this thing. What am I supposed to do with my life? And so to really tie in how decisiveness is kind of like major for setting yourself up to succeed by your own definition, that is like definitely very interesting. And I haven't made that connection previously, but I can see it because I know with my own journey with reframing success and reframing failures is that I really had to accept that I am in control of what this situation is. I am faced with an obstacle that I could call it as like a failure. This is what's doing me in. This is what is putting me in the dirt. Or is this going to be a promotion? Is this an entryway into learning knowledge that the higher level people have?
Right.
Because the reality is when you're faced with a challenge, you're being asked for a solution. And if you can provide that solution, you now have information that all the people you look up to, they have that, And for the longest time, every time I would have an obstacle or a challenge or what many would deem as a failure, I just felt like, okay, like I just suck. I'm not meant to do this. This isn't meant for me. But the fact I had gone to a point where I was faced with a problem, it was an invitation to succeed.
Right.
And like, I do think that is incredible that you and your decisiveness has allowed you to pursue so many different things, and where you have found your own successes and how you have faced challenges and then reframe them from failure. And like now you say that they're just lessons, right? And you just learn from them. What are some really powerful things that you have learned throughout? Now you mentioned the last 3 years were really pivotal for you before we started recording. So in the last 3 years, what are some insights you've gathered?
I learned to understand how things make me feel, and I came up with a list of non-negotiables. So I've been able to really understand what motivates me, makes me tick, keeps me grounded, keeps me happy, or to eliminate things that do not serve me as well. So my 3 non-negotiables that I've come up with, and again, I think learning and this exploration is a journey, so it might change in the future, but right now, they're all up there as non-negotiables for me. So I have to spend time with my family and friends. Just have to. I have incredible friends, love my family, wonderful people. I need to be around them. It just makes me feel good. The other thing I learned, especially in the last 3 years, I need to spend time outside. I need to exercise. I need to keep my body moving. So there is a major difference from spending 12 hours at a desk working versus going for an hour hike or 2 hour hike. So I just know I was meant to move and meant to keep my body moving. And then the third is sobriety. I've had episodes with alcohol, high school, college. It has just, there's parts of it I like, but the list of things that for how it makes me feel mentally and physically and some of the negative events that have happened in my life, I just, I stopped. My last drink was October 26th of last year.
Oh.
So it is something very new for me.
Congratulations.
Thank you. I've quit probably 2 or 3 other times in my life for at least a year. But this time I know about all the physical things like hangovers and GI issues and I don't need to identify what those are. It's very well known.
Yeah.
But I really had I really felt myself get depressed after drinking last year. And when I felt that, I was like, I do not need this. Yeah. I don't need to actively consume something that will make me depressed in the next 24 hours. And when that happened a couple times, I was like, I'm done.
Yeah.
Like, I am done. It doesn't serve me. Has not been easy. I was decisive in stopping drinking, but for the first 30 days, I thought about drinking every single day. Yeah. And I had work stresses and family health issues, and there was stress. I know I'm a stress eater and drinker. I believe in support and having a support group and people that will love you unconditionally and talk to you about anything. So I have friends that are 20 plus years sober, AA, and I called them and said, I've quit. I'm not thinking about drinking again, but I want to stop thinking about it. I don't want alcohol to be the first thing I think of when I'm stressed. And they said, it's incredible that you even recognize that in yourself. Yes. Thank you for calling. You can call me 24/7, 365 to talk about this, but you should feel so proud of yourself for just feeling the need to pick up and call someone in your support group to talk about this. And that made me feel good. So I'm now almost 4 months through. Went to Las Vegas for work. Didn't think about drinking. I went to Mardi Gras this past weekend. No thoughts of drinking.
Oh, wow. Okay, so you've been
We might be here for a couple hours.
You might be in, you've done the sobriety gauntlet of, going to Las Vegas.
Vegas and Mardi Gras, you could say.
And the holidays, too, right? Like you said.
I ate a lot this holiday season and gained probably 20 pounds.
I've been sober since 2018. So
congratulations.
Thank you. It's very similar where when you are a decisive person, because I would consider myself pretty decisive myself, I also am very mindful and very emotionally aware of myself. And I just know that when I was drinking, the physical effects, nightmarish. But yeah, and you would feel so depressed and so down and so gross in your body for days after. Days. And I just knew, 2018, I knew I was going to be having a family, and I was like, I'm ready to settle down. I don't think I want that anymore. I just don't want it in my life. And I haven't looked back. I definitely did have, even now, sometimes I'll see an open bottle of wine and I'll just smell it because I'm just that's a smell. I remember that smell, but I still will think about it as a concept, but luckily there is no desire. So definitely, but being able to talk to people was major. And the identification of thinking about it, even just identifying that it was something that wasn't benefiting you. Right. I am huge on talking about how mindfulness, when you are mindful, you will find out everything you need to know about yourself. You were mindful in that you realized okay, I'm getting depressed from this. This isn't beneficial to me, so I should probably just cut it out. And then you also, following up with that, you had the realization and the mindfulness of okay, I'm still thinking about this though. Even though I rationally know that this is not ideal, it still wants to be my go-to coping mechanism. Right. And then you had the awareness to call someone and just be what's up with that? What is that? And that is that mindfulness is the best compass for where you need to navigate in your life. And I am so happy to hear that you're on that journey. Congratulations. Thank you. I know that you are going to continue learning more about yourself through your sobriety. And honestly, feel free to hit me up even anytime. You got another sobriety buddy right here. I didn't know that, but congratulations.
It's at my added challenge, which is okay. So I kind of I call it the dog training method of things. I have some dogs, and if you don't want your dog to eat things off the your table or off the floor, don't put a steak on the table or the floor. So my father collected whiskey and red wine. And when they moved out of their house a year and a half ago, it all made its way into my house. And my wife sells wine. So I have a significant amount of alcohol in the house. I've put it out of my regular sight.
Right.
But like when I made the decision, it's always around, and bottles of wine are showing up at the house.
Yeah.
But now I try to put it out of sight.
Yeah.
Out of sight, out of mind. And I keep having dinner parties or parties at my house, and I put out everything that's open to just hope people drink it and get rid of it.
Honestly, good choice. Yeah. Like, good idea. Like, I do, because like my mother drinks, and when she visits, she always like brings alcohol, and like I'm sober, but I've been sober for a while. My partner is newly sober. He's trying to get a year sober. And that happened in September. And so it's like, we have this alcohol in here. And even though I'm like, okay, I don't really feel called to it. I'm like, he's not, but that's such a good idea. Like, I should just have friends over and be like, here you go, guys. Like, you choose to.
I literally had a drink my whiskey party.
Oh my!
And put every single bottle that had been opened out.
Wow.
Because some of it I hope to sell in 3 years when I need to put my kids through college to get some extra. My father always had a good eye for it.
There you go. There you go. He was a whiskey connoisseur.
But I work with a coach who's a high performance growth mindset coach, and I've done masterminds with her. She was one of the people I called. She's been sober for 2+ years. And I told her I was really mad at myself because I kept thinking about alcohol. And she said, you need to give yourself some grace. Read the book Dopamine Nation, and you will learn that chemicals are telling your brain, you need this. It's not you.
Yes.
Like, it is just chemicals in your brain. So you need at least 30 days to start to get your brain in a position to start forgetting about it. So for me, it took 4 months. Yeah. Like, I stopped, 30 days was 30 to 45 days. I started to think about it a little bit less. Yeah. But I feel much better, like, now. Like, in the last week, I finally said to myself, I was like, I just went to Mardi Gras and didn't think about drinking once.
Yeah, that's incredible.
All I was just surrounded by people drinking for 3 days.
Sometimes that will also help. Like, seeing the chaos that it can cause, too. It's just kind of like, oh, okay. I don't
know if you know this. There are 2 weekends of Mardi Gras.
I did not know that.
In New Orleans. I had no idea this was a thing. I have a dear friend from college, married a native from New Orleans. He's like, Gavin, you have to come down for the first weekend of Mardi Gras.
The first weekend.
I said, no, I don't need to see anything or all these stories I hear about. I was just not interested in it. He goes, you need to come down and ride in a parade with me. I go, that's interesting, but I still don't want to be there. He goes, first weekend is family weekend.
Okay.
I go, what does that mean? He goes, that's middle school and high school, marching bands, dance groups. You will not see anything inappropriate. Families line the parade route, set up picnics, football games break out, soccer games break out. People are really well behaved. You will love it. And 3 years ago, I was like, okay, you have harassed me long enough. I'm going to go down with a couple friends. We're going to ride in the parade. I don't think they want to I think it's for the locals. First weekend. They don't advertise that it's family week. Kids are out everywhere. And all the throws off the float, lunch boxes, stuffed animals, toys.
That's my kind of Mardi Gras.
Yeah, there are beads, but it's all about the kids and giving and throwing throws to them. So I've 3 years ago I rode in the parade. Last year I rode. This year I went down to ride, and weather postponed our parade day this past Sunday, and they rescheduled it for Tuesday, and I had to be back home. Gotcha. So I missed it. But it is, I think every person should ride in a Mardi Gras parade. You dress up in costume, you wear a mask, they take it very seriously, and I felt like a rock star. I was up on stage, I'm throwing trinkets, and every single 100,000 people, or however many people are there, they want what I have. Yeah. They all want my attention. Everyone's smiling. They're in a good... And it's kids.
Right.
Like, it's fun.
Yes.
It's wholesome.
Oh yeah, that's the best feeling is when like kids are happy to see you, whether you're holding gifts or not. You know, even like trick or treat. I love opening the door and like I usually have something cool. Like I don't just get the regular candy. Like this year I gave out crazy straws.
Oh, nice.
And, yeah, and every kid was like, "Whoa, crazy straws!" They were like picking out their favorite color, and I was like, "Yeah, I'm that bitch right now. I got the crazy straw house."
That's
Like,
good. You'll be popular next year.
I know, and it's like there's something really gratifying about when kids are so excited for your presence or what you have to bring. It's like, and I again, maybe it's just like recognizing the innate like pureness of the kids' perspectives and how they're
Right.
living their life. Like they are just happy to be there and to be receiving the candy, the lunch boxes, the crazy straws, you know? And like for us to be on the giving end of that in a world that so often overlooks that, it's incredible, for sure.
It's a lot of fun.
Yeah, amazing.
If you want to ride, let me know.
Yeah.
It's we are crew of King Arthur, the most inclusive crew.
All right. I might do it next year.
Doesn't matter, man, woman, race, gender, anything. You're all welcome. Everyone is welcome.
Guys, keep a lookout. We'll see. We'll see. I'll like clip this next year and we'll see if I'll do it.
So my friend Bill that dragged me into this, but now I love it. His dream is to have his own entire float of friends and family. So I think he needs 43 or 46 people, riders. So because we were postponed this year, we're going to work on it and see if we can fill a float for Bill.
Like, so the floats, are they like on like a flatbed truck? Like, how do you even go
They're enormous. Double decker. They're bigger than like a double decker bus in London.
Wow.
So the whole bottom row is people. That's intense because you're ground level.
Right.
With all the kids and people that want your stuff.
Yeah.
And then the whole rooftop.
Yeah.
As well is filled with people. So that's more of like have to get your pitching arm or quarterback arm throwing the throws out into the crowd. I've only been on the top. This year we were scheduled to be on the bottom. So I would have had a different experience.
Interesting.
Yeah, it's fun.
And he wants his own float.
He does.
Okay, I'm gonna put it out there that your friend figures out his own float because
thank you. That's his dream.
That's a heck of a dream. I like it. What are some intentions and dreams you have for this coming year?
I am all about being outside, experiencing nature, and challenging myself.
Okay.
So my wife and I, with 9 friends, in May, we're hiking across the Grand Canyon.
Wow.
So we're going to the South Rim, walking down, walking across, and walking out, which is 22 miles. We're hoping to do it in like 10 to 13 hours.
10 to 13 hours?
Yes.
Wow.
So that's number 1. Never been to the Grand Canyon. Never seen it. Certainly never hiked through it.
Yeah.
So that's adventure number 1 in May. Adventure number 2, my wife and I and a friend are participating in a 29029 Everesting challenge in Whistler, British Columbia. So that challenge, we have 36 hours to hike 29,029 vertical feet. And when we do, we will have climbed the equivalent of Mount Everest.
Wow.
So.
You're okay. All right. Hold on. Let me just readjust here for a sec. So goal number 1 is the Grand Canyon.
Yes.
Goal number 2 is the equivalent to Mount Everest.
In 36 hours.
In 36 hours. Okay. What's any other goal number 3?
In September, I'm doing a half Everest with a friend in Colorado. That is what I'm most nervous about.
Oh.
The starting elevation is 9,000 feet.
Yeah.
And living in Pennsylvania, I'm nowhere close to 9,000 feet. And I've attempted 2 of the 29029 Everesting challenges in Snow Basin, Utah, and fainted 3 times in two different attempts and ended up in the hospital the second try. So elevation has been a challenge for me. So I am learning about how to drink enough water, electrolytes, salt, eat enough food and carbohydrates so I have energy. I have not been successful doing this at elevation. So I signed up to do the half Everest in Colorado, not realizing how high it was.
Oh.
And now I'm like, holy cow. I don't do what it's like 9,000 to 10,600 feet. And we have to do it 10 times. That one I am nervous about. But I'm studying, I'm learning, talking to people, trying to figure out like,
Yeah. You got this. You got this.
I'm good.
Yeah.
If I can do the other two, then that should be no problem.
Yeah. A half Everest, even if at, Colorado levels, after a full Everest and the Grand Canyon,
Yes.
I think you're prepping yourself real well. Now, have you ever been to Colorado?
Yes.
Okay.
I've skied. It's at Winter Park, Colorado. I've skied it a bunch of times.
Okay.
But somehow, I've skied my whole life. Elevation has never been an issue. Skiing. I think hiking up the mountain, I'm exerting
Right.
a lot more
Yeah.
energy than
Yeah.
skiing down. So we'll see.
Yeah. We're just worst case scenario, have some skis. Although, wait, what year?
September.
Oh, never mind.
It won't be.
Never
But
mind.
I was successful in the 29029 Everesting Challenge at Stratton, Vermont 2 years ago.
Congratulations.
Thank you. And it was interesting because it was I think 29029 Everesting has been around since 2017. The Stratton, Vermont one that I did in 2023 had the worst finish rate ever. Usually about 60 to 65% of the participants finish. At Stratton, only 41% finished.
Wow.
It rained 3.5 inches over 34 of the 36 hours during the challenge, and that's the one I finished. People literally they just went home on the first day.
Yeah.
And they're like, it's going to rain all of the rest of the day and all day tomorrow. This is terrible. I'm just going home. And they walked off the mountain and left. Like, it's never happened before.
So, okay, we've established you've always been athletic. I mean, from 9 to, through high school, you skied. And you said you skateboarded. Did you ever think you would be at near 50 doing Everest challenges?
No, I do not run distances. I have run 2 5Ks in my whole life. And then there was a 4.2 mile fundraiser for the Pat Tillman Foundation. And I've done that, I think, twice.
Wow.
And I did it virtually.
Yeah.
But no, I have always been a sprinter, never about endurance. And I think that I didn't start these challenges until I did the first one in 2022.
Okay.
So it's relatively new. I did
Wow.
one in 2022 at Snow Base in Utah with my wife. I fainted at lunchtime on the first day after only 4 ascents. My wife kept going and ended up in the ER that night. Our claim to fame with the 29029 Everesting Challenge, she is the only participant. She was the first participant to go to the emergency room and come back the next day and do another hike.
Oh.
And I am the first one to faint and come back and hike. So that was year 1. Then my wife met a friend. They were mad at themselves because they didn't stick to their plan and didn't eat. They knew they didn't eat or drink enough. So they convinced the organizers to do Stratton that year in 2022, and both completed the challenge.
Wow.
And made a whole bunch of other women friends they're doing the Grand Canyon with us this year.
Oh.
So I stayed home with the kids. I didn't want to do it. I was like, I don't know why I cramped up. I don't know why I fainted. I've never fainted. This is crazy. Had to figure that out. And then I said, well, I've already signed up for 1. So the next year I must sign up for 2. Because I've already tried 1. Like, I might as well just do more. So I went back to Snow Base in Utah in 2023 with a friend. Fainted on the first day.
Again?
Again.
Okay.
I got further, but I fainted again. Did my rest, got up the next day, went back out. So I was like, one of the coaches I work with is like, just, you're not going to finish, but just consider it practice for Stratton, which you're going to try in 2 months.
2 months?
It was 2 months later. Yeah, so I went back out, fainted after the event, and my vitals were so bad. They're like, you need to go to the emergency room. And I went to the emergency room, and they said, what were you doing?
Whoa.
I said, I was hiking at Snow Basin. They said, your kidney function looks like you were on a deserted island for 2 weeks. And I was like, oh, that's great. So I spent the night. I took 4 bags of IV and was on a maintenance trip overnight. What I've learned in this crazy endurance challenge, that's normal. Like, you never want to test an endurance athlete. Like these guys and gals that run the Leadville 100 and these crazy races, they all look like that at the end. It's just like, you'll be better in a day or 2.
Oh my gosh.
So I did that, and I was like, I'm signed up to do this again. What is the matter with me? Why do I keep fainting? So had to figure it out again, and I realized in the previous 2, I had missed something or I didn't follow my plan.
Okay.
I didn't realize it in the moment, but doing the post-mortem, I'm like, I made a mistake. I need to recognize my mistake, and then I need to learn from that mistake and apply it to the next challenge. So then fast forward 2 months later, Stratton, Vermont, 34 hours of rain, we call it the ultimate grip party. Because like those that stuck around,
Yeah.
it was the ultimate grip party. Like you couldn't see at night. There was so much rain, the headlamps wouldn't work. I was wandering like off the trail into the woods, didn't know where I was. And it was not easy. You start at 6 a.m. on a Friday. I got through like 11. I went from 6 a.m. to 2:30 in the morning. So I knew with my coaches, I had to work for 20 hours to give myself a chance. So I stayed out for the 20 hours, slept for 2-3 hours, got up, felt awful. Like incredible fatigue and GI issues. Went back to bed for 10 minutes, woke up. My wife was there volunteering with her friends that she had met through these challenges. I called her. I was like, I am in bad shape. She goes, when did you last have a meal? Because it was like 6 a.m.
Yeah.
I go, I probably ate at 7 p.m. She goes, 12 hours. Go get up, go get a meal, talk to one of the coaches, and reassess. It's like, okay. Had the meal, talked to one of the coaches, went back out. That was my worst lap. My best laps my best hikes up were taking me like an hour and 5 to an hour and 15 minutes. That one took 2.5 hours.
Whew.
It was awful. Came back down and was talking to the staff. I'm like, I feel terrible. This isn't going to work. They go, you don't know it, but you're going to finish. So go work. And I was like, I don't know what you're talking about. There is no way I'm finishing. Just math. If I do 2.5 hours, I don't finish. It's over at 6. I had, I think, 5 more to go. So that's 10 hours. It's not going to happen. Even if I got faster and did it at 2 hours, it's not going to happen. They go, I don't want to hear it, Gavin. Just go out. Just go out and do it. Keep going. So I kept going. It's happened a couple of times in my life. I had an out-of-body experience and I was in the zone. Like I lost track of time. All I knew to do was to put one foot in front of the other, breathe at certain places on the mountain, and just keep going. And I finished in 34 hours. I finished 2 hours early.
And I'd like to thank today's sponsor, the Home Space Organizers. What makes the Home Space Organizers different from other professional organizing companies is that their core mission starts on a very personal level. Their founder, a veteran interior designer and senior design producer for major TV networks like HGTV, discovered through years of working with a wide range of clients that personal connection and understanding each client's situation are essential to creating decluttered, organized, functional, and stylish spaces. Their goal is to provide more than just decluttering and organizing services. services. It's about deeply understanding each client's unique circumstances, challenges, and desires. By empathizing with their situation, they aim to create personalized, custom organizational solutions that will not only help them manage their belongings, but also enhance their overall quality of life. Whether you need assistance with a seasonal wardrobe switch, setting up a new home, preparing a cluttered space for sale, tackling a hoarded home, refreshing a kid's room, organizing a bathroom, or creating a clutter-free pantry, their services cover it all. Their approach is rooted in compassion and respect, ensuring clients feel comfortable and never judged. They understand that life is too short to feel overwhelmed by clutter, and they believe your home should be a sanctuary. Together, you and them can turn chaos into clarity and clutter into calm. Their focus is making their clients' lives easier through the thoughtful, tailored organization that addresses their specific needs. And again, thank you guys so much for sponsoring today's episode, and let's get back to it. Wow.
And I still to this day almost think someone played a practical joke on me and like said I did one more ascent than I actually did.
Yeah.
Because I lost track of time and didn't know what was going on. Everyone kept telling me I was good. Everyone kept telling me it was going to happen. I was going to finish. You get a red hat like when you finish to prove that you climb Mount Everest. The equivalent of Mount Everest, and I did it in
Wow.
the hardest one they've ever done, still to this day.
They must have saw something in you. They're like, this guy has completely checked out. That's actually good.
I just kept listening. I ate what they told me to eat. I drank what they told me to drink. I didn't stop, and I just kept going. And
you were outside of yourself at that point, and they were just like, here you go, to the mountain you go. So go climb.
Yeah.
And
so it's had a really profound impact on my life, thinking retrospectively.
yes.
Because I did it once and fainted. I did it twice, fainted, went to the hospital. I did it the third time, had this out-of-body experience while my brain was telling me I wasn't going to finish. So that whole second day, 10 hours of additional work, my brain told me I wasn't going to finish until I had like one left to go. And I was like, I have so much time. Like, I can't, like, I don't know what happened. I'm going to finish. This is incredible. And then I start to think, how many times in my life did my brain tell me to stop something when I should have kept going?
Yeah.
And that's been really interesting to me, and that's my failure is just learning in disguise.
Yeah.
Because you could say my brain was failing there, and now I've learned like I'm not going to listen to my brain.
Yeah.
Like I'm going to stick to my plan, talk to my support people, listen to who I want to listen to, and maybe my brain's telling me you're not going to succeed, but if it's what I really want, and everyone's giving me support and telling me I can do it, like keep going.
Yeah.
What do you have to lose?
And honestly, a big thing that I've noticing that you're, saying over and over is that you have these people that you can lean onto when the brain's being cruel, or when your body hurts, or when you're just going through, all these obstacles that life just throws, the curveballs after curveballs. You have people to talk to. You have these guides, these coaches, your friends, your mentors, coaches. It's like, that is so powerful. How you can lean on the people for that belief in yourself that you don't have for yourself, but they believe in you. And then you can kind of just borrow that, just to get a little further. That is incredible. What are some things that you feel like are so pivotal in that moment where you are faced with a challenge and you want to give up? You don't think there's a point, but somehow you keep going. Like, what do you think is pivotal in that moment?
So for me, you mentioned the support group. I am very comfortable asking for help. I have a mantra I use all the time. I want to get to the right resource at the right time. I do not believe I'm an expert in everything. I want to literally get to the right resource at the right time. Phone a friend, phone an expert, figure it out. My parents have had a lot of positive impact on my life. I'm so frustrated with what I'm about to say. They gave me a book right out of college. Like, it was one of these How to Succeed in Business books. It was written by a black man who rose through the ranks of IBM. I don't know what I did with the book. I can't even figure out the title anymore because I would love to give this book around to everyone.
Mm-hmm.
He asked for help. And he gives examples and basically says people are predisposed to help when you ask them for help, and people are predisposed to never ask for help. So just ask for the help.
Yeah.
On anything, like you're driving across the country and you have aunts and uncles in Tulsa, Oklahoma, and you're driving through Tulsa, Oklahoma. Do you pick up the phone and say, hey, I'm driving through, can I stay with you? Or do you just get a hotel and don't even bother? Like the simplest things, you can just ask for help.
Yeah.
So there's just story after story of this guy just being comfortable asking for help. As soon as I read that, I applied it to everything. So and it's been interesting because I've worked in global companies where I get to experience other business cultures, and especially like down in Mexico or India, there's like the caste system or this machismo culture,
Right.
that you're the boss, so you know all.
Right.
And it's like, no, I want to get to the right resource at the right time. If I need help, I'm going to ask for it. If I'm feeling down, I gave the example, why do I keep thinking about alcohol? I'm going to call the people that have gone through this.
Right.
And so what I think it's important to have those support groups, but be very specific and intentional in the support you need.
Yes.
I'm not going to call a big party boozer drinker to talk about sobriety
Right.
and how I'm feeling about drinking. I'm going to call someone that was 20 years AA, 20 plus years sober. They're going to have the experience. When I wanted to learn how to surf, I called my friend that surfed his whole life.
Yeah.
And said, what do I need to know? Everyone he said, everyone worries about the pop-up, but the thing you need to physically train is your arms. I go, what are you talking about? He goes, think about how much you paddle, Gavin. Do you do this freestyle motion? Are you a swimmer? I said, no. He goes, okay, get some dumbbells, lie on a bench, and practice swimming.
Cool.
You will call me and thank me. I was like, that makes sense. No one ever talks about having like a strong upper body to paddle around surfing.
Right.
You just think, I'm going to stand up and surf. I need strong legs or flexible legs.
Yeah. It's like you got to get out there. But
So
people don't think
because I don't know if I would ever have realized this if my parents would give me that book. Somehow they heard about it and thought like, oh, we'll give this to Gavin.
Wow.
And it was just all about asking for help.
That's incredible. And that's so true. And I remember I read a psychology book and it said not only is asking for help going to just benefit you in all the ways that does, it also makes people like and respect you more. Because when you are asking them for help, they feel valued. They feel seen. They feel, validated in what they know and how they're knowledgeable. And you are affirming that and recognizing that and coming in a place of vulnerability. And so the psychology book was saying how, along with just getting the help you need, it also sets you up socially with these relationships and it really fortifies them. So seriously, guys, if you're watching this, there is no reason not to ask for help. It will benefit everything. And like, that is I'm so glad that you've realized that and you enact that in everything you do. And now you're doing these like insane challenges with this help, because I think people hear like these challenges, like, hiking the Grand Canyon or these Everest challenges, and they imagine one lone person, sticking their thing in the ground, going against the wind. But it is a team, and there's probably like, assuming there's tons of people at any given point on these challenges.
So they cap it. So at least the 29029 Everesting group caps it because they want to be the endurance company that cares the most.
Oh.
It's literally their mission. They know a-holes, and they want to be the company that cares the most. So they try to keep it between 250 and 300 people. They have on mountain coaches. They have aid stations. They want them. You are trying to climb Mount Everest, and they want to make sure you have the support and all the tools that one might need to climb Mount Everest.
Yeah.
So it's wonderful, and it's not a race.
Right.
You get a medal and a red hat if you finish in 18 hours or 36 hours. It doesn't matter. No one's keeping track. No one's keeping score. No one's seeing how fast it took people. And, oh, that's the number one finisher. It's just, so they built an incredible community. I've done 3 of them. I have friends from all 3. My wife has friends she's done 2. I know we'll meet friends when we go to Whistler in August. It's just great. Great community.
You think you're going to keep doing them for as long as you can
I do. I do get frustrated if there's something I think I should be attaining that I'm not. It's still part of my learning.
Right.
I want to learn and figure out how to accomplish it. So since I've attempted Snow Basin, Utah twice, fainted twice. My wife thinks I'm crazy. Like, I really want to say, I think 3rd time's a charm. I really want to go try. If I can get through this year, because at Grand Canyon, people don't realize it. When you climb out, you start at an elevation of 2,000, you finish at 8,000.
Wow.
So
it goes up progressively.
So it's going to take 2-3 hours just to climb out, and it goes up to 8,000 feet. So that'll be a good challenge.
Yeah.
Stratton, Vermont has the least elevation because it's Vermont. When we go to Whistler, British Columbia, I think that's 4,500 to 6,500, something like that. And then the half Everest. So if I can do all of this, I'll probably definitely sign up for Snow Basin and give it a go.
Hey.
And think 3rd time's a charm.
Even just to do it. I mean, even just have fun. You said you're like, you really value adventure, getting out in nature. And I bet that's incredible. Like, afterwards, after these huge feats. All right, first off, how does your body feel that first night you're back at home?
This is going to sound strange. So the first 2 I didn't actually finish. I got further. Like, I got further in the second Snow Basin than the first. Stratton I finished, and I felt great. I think, like, the
adrenaline, dopamine.
The adrenaline, endorphins, whatever it was.
Yeah.
I ate the most obscene breakfast, lunch the next day. It was, oh gosh. So I was driving back from Vermont. It was chicken and waffles with eggs Benedict on one plate. Like an obscene pile of chicken and waffles topped with eggs Benedict.
That is a lot.
I ate the whole thing. I destroyed it. It was delicious. But I knock on, I don't know if there's any wood around to knock on.
The walls.
Yeah. I felt good. There's eating plans going into one of these, and there's eating and exercise plans coming out of them.
Okay.
From a recovery perspective. So, I mean, knock on wood, it'll be okay.
Yeah.
I just was I was in really good shape.
Yeah.
I was 20 pounds lighter than I am now. I'll get there as we get through this year.
Yeah. It seems like you have a lot planned for this year. So, what does the fitness journey look like preparing for all these challenges?
So, can do it a lot of different ways. I don't run. I just have bad knees.
Yeah.
So for me, it's hiking and time on my feet. So an hour hike on a normal day is okay. That's just good time on your feet. I do days of strength workouts that are mostly body weight types of things, like burpees and lunges and step ups onto boxes. Try to do stretching and yoga and hip mobility exercises to stay loose, but it's really hard because all the hiking and leg strength that you need, it takes away the flexibility.
Yeah.
There's been some yoga gurus, instructors that have tried these challenges, and they get really frustrated that they lose their yoga flexibility.
Yeah. I can imagine.
And then it takes time to get it back. So it is, I think one of the gentlemen that's well known in these things say it's frustratingly doable. Like 82-year-old man has finished one of these challenges.
Wow.
You can walk 1 mile an hour and finish.
Huh.
And if you've ever, I challenge you to get on a treadmill and attempt to walk 1 mile an hour. You will not be able to. It is so slow.
It is.
So it's an endurance challenge. If you can literally walk these things 1 mile an hour and drink enough and consume enough calories, it's frustrating. You can
All right.
do it.
I'm doing it.
Do it.
Maybe,
Do it.
maybe not this year, but I am getting back into my fitness journey. So maybe
Yes.
maybe next year I'll do it because I do. I want to do marathons. I always want to do have you heard of the Tough Mudders?
Yep.
I really want to do that for a while. So I definitely do aspire for these things, and I actually just started really working out daily for the first time since I've had a kid.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so I'm getting back there. It's we go to show. You've gotten into this around 50-ish.
Yeah.
It's always a good time to start. There's never not a good time to start. So
Yeah, it's once because you gear up for like a 10, 12, 8, 10, 12 hour practice day on a Saturday or Sunday.
okay.
And I'm learning this as well. You're based on what you need to eat, carbs and proteins to just keep yourself going. I was eating 5,000 calories a day and losing weight. My body just turned into an oven based on just all this. There's a lot of heart rate zone training where you keep your heart rate at as low a level as you can for as long as you can. You don't push it into lose it. You want to be able to walk and talk comfortably and just continue to do it for as long as you can while eating and drinking what you need. So your body just turns into like an oven that just burns fat.
Do you feel like now your body is adjusted to that in everyday life? Like even if you're in a stressful situation, you feel your heart rate still like have you noticed that these changes have carried through everyday life?
Yes. Heart rate zone and your heart rate was something I didn't pay attention to in the first Everest challenge that I did, and that was my mistake. So when I did it all year in 2023,
oh, you were doing the train like the
I did
prep.
heart rate. So I wear a heart rate strap
Yeah.
attached to my phone because the whole point was to always keep my heart rate below 130.
Wow.
So then if it's like you go up a hill, it might spike.
Yeah.
But then to feel that, and I was taught breathing exercises to breathe my heart rate down.
Okay.
To then keep going at the comfortable pace because you don't want to go at a high. You just can't go. Imagine sprinting versus jogging.
Yeah.
Like your heart rate's higher when you sprint. You can't sprint for 10 miles.
Yeah.
But you can walk. You might be able to jog for 10 miles. You can certainly walk for 10 miles.
Yeah. Okay.
So now I can feel it. And that's what they wanted. The coaches wanted me to feel.
Right.
So when I was out on the mountain and really exerting myself, it was a mental reminder to stop and to breathe and to rest. Because in the back of your mind, if you remember, you can go 1 mile an hour and finish.
Yeah.
You can rest for
Right.
5 minutes. I mean, now I work with a boxing coach, but it's a lot of high intensity interval training. So if I jump rope, my heart rate will spike up to like 167 to 172.
Okay.
2 years ago, it would take 2.5 minutes for me to get it back down to like 120. Now it's 90 seconds.
Wow.
Less than 90 seconds. So this training for the last 2 years it's paying off. And I can, like, if I'm just on the treadmill and like messing around with inclines and things like that, and on the treadmill I will watch a show or do something because it's super boring for me. I'll feel it just like that and look down and be like, oh, I'm above 130. I need to lower the incline, reduce the speed, get my heart rate back down, and I can feel it. So it's been really interesting.
Wow. What's your go-to show on the treadmill?
Right now it's Stranger Things.
Oh, okay.
I never watched it, so I'm watching it.
I think the last season's gonna be coming
It's
out.
coming
soon.
out.
Yeah.
So that's been a good one.
Ooh, what season
like
are you
that.
on?
Middle of season 4.
Okay.
So I'll need to find something else after this.
Gotcha. Yeah, Stranger Things. That's cool. I hopped on a little late in that whole show too, but yeah, that's a good one. The kids are like crazy actors. I'm like, damn.
It's a good show.
Yeah, I haven't seen the kids in like a lot of other shows though. I guess they're probably just waiting for this to be done. But cool. All right, you'll need something after Stranger Things. I know, like when I was going to the gym a lot, I would always end up watching like HGTV, where I would just like watch the remodeling shows because I would get like so hooked. It forced me to stay on because I was like, okay, I need to like that. I would literally have to be like doubling my workout length because I just needed to see how the house turned out at the end. You know, whatever works.
Exactly.
Very cool. And so you're working or you're finishing up a book right now.
I am.
And that must have been quite the accomplishment. You must be feeling like, did you ever think you would write a book?
I did not. It's something I've joked about probably for 20 years. I should write a book. Yeah. My wife and I have talked about writing a book together. It's just something that has always come up. It's very strange because at this point in my life, I might read 1 to 2 books a year.
Yeah.
I don't read that much. But interesting enough, in my first 29029, after I fainted and I was recovering, I met a publisher who I became friends with. And I watched webinars that he put on talking about everyone should write a book. It's a way to leave, he would say, sort of a permanent legacy on this earth. 10 generations from now, your family can go Google your name, see you wrote a book, read about it. It's like, you're not doing this to be Tom Clancy or Stephen King, but just get your thoughts out. Everyone should write a book. And I was like, that's an interesting take on it.
Love that.
This past summer, one of my college friends called me and said, Gavin, I am pissed at you. And we hadn't talked in probably a year. I was like, what? You're pissed at me? I don't deserve this. What are you talking about? He goes, we're the same age. We're both married. We both have 2 kids. We both have 2 dogs. You're taking these fun trips to Costa Rica family surf camp and skiing in Colorado, and you leave companies and start companies, and I don't know how you do it. I said, Andy, I don't know how you don't. He said, you need to write a book. He said, if you need to write a book about you and how you do these things, and I will read that book. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to call Pete, my new publishing friend from 29029, and say, Pete, it's finally talk to me about how you actually write a book.
Your friend's just like, you should write a book. It's like, all right.
And I told Pete the story, and he goes, that's the title. I don't know how you don't.
I don't know.
That was started as a title.
Yeah.
It has since changed, but I called him and I said, I'm going to write a book. I don't know what it's about. How do I do this? And he goes, here's what we do. I have a publishing package. I'm going to put you with a book guru that has a process for writing a book. I said, that's perfect. Like thinking about these coaches and how much I've worked for the endurance challenges. I will get to the right resource at the right time. I will listen to someone telling me how to write a book. So I was paired up with this gentleman, and he had a book writing process. And we met, and he explained to me that we'll have this outline, we'll have a manuscript, we'll start by talking about some topics, maybe you'll write some stories, and then we'll get a little more specific. We'll say, Gavin, write some headlines of what you think chapters might be. And then we'll think about that. And then the next week, write the first sentence of that chapter and write the last sentence of that chapter.
Oh,
and let's see if it makes sense. And then he goes, and then just start writing stories. So we sort of combined the I don't know how you don't into yes, your way to success. Why don't you? And this has been one of the most rewarding journeys I have undertaken because I learned more about myself going through this process than I think I ever would have. I've experimented with all sorts of growth mindset things. A lot of people think journaling is great. I don't like it.
Yeah.
It doesn't work for me. I just don't like it. So to go through this process and really exploring my mind, it really helped that my book guru is a gentleman named Leonard Berg, who is a soul therapist. as his primary job.
Love that.
His side hustle is helping the publisher be a book guru and getting people to write books. So it was, I have nothing against therapy. I've never worked with a therapist. And now my book guru is this soul therapist, one of the most spiritual people I've ever met. Mm-hmm. So we got paired together. And the second time we met, he goes, I know exactly why they put us together. I was like, please tell me. I'd love to know. He goes, you're the most decisive person I've ever met. I go, really? No one's ever said that. He goes, 95% of my patients / clients need to read your book. Oh. Because most of the time we spend in therapy is based on their indecisiveness.
Yeah.
And not being able to make progress with their lives or move forward or start a relationship, lead a relationship, try something new, try a new job, whatever it may be. I was like, no one has ever said that about me, but it's probably true. That's fascinating.
I think it's been confirmed.
So one of the things I started to do was call friends, family, and say, tell me a story about me that explains who I am. And that's where my mother immediately said, we let you choose your own adventure.
And it all comes
everywhere
full
you
circle.
Went. So I said, I think choose your own adventure and what you're doing in public made me decisive. Because now I was like, oh, this makes total sense. And then I really wanted to talk about how I don't believe in failure. Mm-hmm. Failure is learning in disguise. Mm-hmm. We didn't know it when we started writing the book, if the 29029 Everesting experience would be in the book mm-hmm. and interwoven throughout. But as I wanted to document all 3 events.
Yeah.
And once I did, Lenny said, all right, it's going in the book.
Yeah.
But the other thing is, I'm not a coach. I'm not telling people what to do. Mm-hmm. It's almost, the book is, as I said, it's like my therapy sessions to help explain what works for me.
Yeah, a reflection.
So that's how I came up with my non-negotiables. That's how I understand failure. And it's anecdotal with stories throughout and about what works for me. So.
Oh, and I'm so glad to hear that you got something out of it, because I know people that are going to read it, they're going to get something out of it. Now, when do you think this book will be available?
I met with Lenny today, so the entire manuscript is done.
Congratulations.
So thank you. So now we're into the details. Mm-hmm. I need to complete my bio, mm-hmm. and I need to complete the back cover, mm-hmm. and I need to select pictures and write, write taglines of what those pictures are or symbolize. And I will do that this weekend, and then we'll hand the manuscript over to the official book editor, who will tell us where all our grammatical errors are and put it into book form.
Wow.
And if we're lucky and all goes well, it should be published. It could be as soon as 30 days, so probably 1 to 2 months.
Wow. Okay, lots of things happening. So, now, you mentioned that you and your wife had an ongoing joke on writing books. Have you inspired her to write a book? Has this process been...
This might be a sore subject for her and her friend Michelle.
Oh.
They got together. They met at a 29029 challenge. They volunteered together at Stratton when I was doing it. And then they decided that they wanted to write a book.
Okay.
They haven't written one word.
So, listen, that's the first step, guys. I promise you.
I tease them and bust their chops that when they decided to write their book, I wasn't even thinking about writing a book. Uh-huh. And now I have a whole book, and they know Pete. They know the same publisher.
Yeah.
And it's a great process. I had no idea what it was going to be about. No idea how long it would take. And I think I started writing September, October. And I have almost 30,000 words.
Listen, they're letting it marinate. Okay, trust me. I've been a writer my entire life. Listen, sometimes you let it marinate for a while. Don't worry, guys, you got it. But that's incredible. Congratulations. And so, do you think you'll write more books in the future, or is this going to be your one and done?
I think that it's kind of interesting. By sort of saying yes and continuing to do these endurance challenges until I completed it, I was always confident, but I needed that reality check that, like, here's something you thought you could do that you failed miserably at. Failed. I really learned what I did wrong, learned wrong again, and then to finally do it in like the hardest one, I now have a new sense of confidence,
right,
that I can really achieve a lot,
yeah,
and a lot more. So now that I have a book, like, I don't know how many people write books, but I wrote a book, so I definitely can write another book.
Yeah.
I've been talking to a lot of friends, talking to my best friend about writing a book, talked to my friend that had me down in Mardi Gras about, he's an excellent writer. And I told him like how I did it. He's like, I should write books. I was like, yes, you should. Back to everyone should write a book and just get it out there. So this book was sort of about me and how I go about life and what I learned about myself. I really didn't focus on work at all.
Okay.
So I could write a second book on work. My wife and I have talked about writing a couples book.
Aww.
We've been married. We've known each other since 2003. We're married in 2006. So we're almost coming up on 20 years.
Congratulations.
Thank you. We think we communicate more than most couples. Like, anything and everything is in the comfort zone. Talk about whatever you want. Feel however you want to feel. And no judgment. Let's talk about it. And we started dating that way. And we called it sort of the question game. We'd go out to dinner and say, what's your dream job? What's your dream vacation? Do you want kids? Like, think about any possible question you could have. Like, we just talked and talked, and we still do it while driving in the car. And if you win the Mega Millions, what are 3 things? What do you want to buy for yourself? What do you want to buy for someone else? Where do you want to go? Like, what are those 3 things? And we were just shocked when we were dating and then married in our early year. I have one friend who I'll not name that talked about having kids with his wife for the first time on their honeymoon.
Ooh.
He wanted kids, she didn't.
No.
So they're still happily married, which is great. But like, to
not the
be
best time.
married and on your honeymoon and have the conversation of how many kids do you want then seemed a little late.
Yeah, that's well, if it works for you guys, you know. But
right, they're still married, so I'm happy for that.
Yeah, but
it's just shocking how
some people are like that, and
Yeah.
some relationships are like that. You know, where they're cool with having those big discussions later. I could never. Maybe it's because we are more decisive oriented people. We're just kind of like, okay, let's decide what's all on the table here, what's going on, and let's figure out if they align. You know, my partner and I are very similar in that he broke down his most vulnerable traumas and like emotions of what he was going through in his life on our first date, which was the night we met. Like, we met earlier the day. He asked me out that night, and then he just told me everything, and I was like, wow, okay, like, we're doing this now. And you know what, it's worked out. It's worked out. We've been together ever since, you know. And that like raw openness with a partner, that truly is the success. Like, then the communication is building upon that, but the recognition of that deep intimacy of really knowing everyone's their deeper thoughts, it's like that will seriously make it go miles. And so I would love to see a book with you and your wife. So maybe that will have to be.
Or maybe, so I did listen. I've listened to your podcast.
Oh.
I listened to your first one.
Okay.
So I've heard that story, and that there was a lot going on.
Yeah.
There. So I could see.
Episode 1, guys.
Episode 1, listen.
That was the trial one, yeah. That was like, I was like, all right. And like, he actually wants to do a podcast. I snaked it, kind of like the book situation.
Yeah, there you go.
I got this equipment for him to start a podcast. And he was just like, yeah, I don't know yet. He's like, yeah, I don't think so yet. And like, I was just like, you know what? I think I'm going to start a podcast. And I did. and I'm doing it, and it's kind of funny. Sometimes you just beat them to their own goal, but that's just more motivation.
Yeah. But I think you need to have those conversations, whether you think it's good topics or bad topics, just to share with your partner or potential partner more about who you are and make sure it's all good.
Yeah.
And for me, I had a series of relationships before I met my wife where that other person wanted to change me and didn't want me to do things that I liked. So one of the first conversations I had with my now wife was, I don't know how this is going to go for you, but I am not hiding anything. Like, I will tell you the good, the bad, and the ugly at all times, always. And if you run, you run. And she appreciated it. And she was coming out of a unproductive relationship, and she's like, I'm down. Me too.
Yeah, word.
We're gonna talk this all out and see what comes out the other side, and now we love each other unconditionally and
have kids surfing in Costa Rica.
Yeah, it's all good.
Wow. Do you think your kids are have they expressed any interest in kind of doing what you guys do? Like, have they said they'll eventually do an Everest challenge, or are they like, nah, we're good on that?
Yes. I think that we're raising them to have an opinion. And I also talk to them, especially in today's digital age, be a creator, not a consumer.
Yes. Yes, that is major.
So I've taught, like, my son can sit on YouTube and video games all day long, and I'll talk to him and be like, okay, you love YouTube and watching these things. How much do you think the most successful YouTube person makes a year? Like, the most. And I think at the time it was like $18 to $20 million a year, which is awesome.
Yeah.
But that's like 1 in 500 million makes that much. And I said, do you like playing these video games? How much do you think those companies are worth? He's like, I don't know. I go, it's worth about $10 billion.
Yeah.
They created it. You're consuming and just watching. They created it. My daughter, I'm really excited about, has business interest.
Oh, okay.
And entrepreneur interest.
Oh, very cool.
I thought she might have it. She's a freshman in high school. She took one of these personality career test things with the PSATs, and they said, oh, you should look at entrepreneurial colleges.
Oh,
I was like,
wow.
that's really cool. I'd love to support women in business. So
yes.
I still need to get her to create. She has some really good business ideas. I need to get her to start.
Yeah, implement them.
So I think my kids are seeing my wife and I say yes to a lot of things.
Yeah.
Like, yes to these adventures, yes to pushing ourselves physically, yes to learning, yes to writing a book. So hopefully they start to understand that
the power of that yes.
Yes,
that motivation.
and we are very clear, like, you do not need to follow our path. If you want to be a world famous cello performer, like, great, don't play sports. Like, we don't care what you do.
Yeah.
You want to be a painter, go do it. Like, we will support
just do it.
them, whatever they want to do. Just say yes and start.
Yeah, just do it.
And do it. So it's hard for the kids these days. The screens are terrible.
Yeah. It's a whole thing. I think
that's a whole nother conversation.
Yeah, the screens honestly can just really pull people into that complacency.
Yep.
So, wow. Well, I feel like your book is going to change some lives. Definitely the patience of your book guru. I'm sure he's going to keep that on the coffee table for them. And I want to thank you so much for coming onto this podcast and telling me all about this journey of yours. I am so excited. And listen, maybe New Orleans, Mardi Gras, maybe Everest. I'm down. I'm open to whatever. So we'll see what happens. But you are incredible. You're doing amazing things for yourself, your family, and now the greater world for the book. And thank you so much for being here.
Thank you. Thanks for having me. I would love to support your efforts for Mardi Gras and endurance challenges, so let me know if I can help.
We'll see. I'll keep you guys posted. Thank you so much for tuning into this podcast, and please know that you can do the things. You can succeed. You can do it. Your failures are just learning lessons, and please know that you are capable of all the things that you want, and you deserve the life that you exist for. So thank you so much for being here. Bye.